Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me. Welcome to today's edition of Daf Yomi. We're doing Bava Metzia Daf 76 Omad 8. So let's dive straight in. So it says, conversely, if the employer reneges, Bal Habayis Chozebo, according to Rashi, the employer is always at a disadvantage in this case. If the price of the work decreases, he must pay the labor the stipulated amount, so they not suffer a loss. If it appreciates, he must pay them in accordance with the higher rate to the Ritva. Although it's unlikely that the employer would retract where the rate of pay increased, as it would not be in his interest to retract in that situation. Nevertheless, the Tana taught the halacha in that case as well. And that's in the Talmud, Rabbeinu Peretz citing Rabbeinu Yitzchak. He's at a disadvantage. These two rulings are in accordance with the principle that whoever changes the terms accepted by both parties is at a disadvantage, and who reneges on a disagreement is at a disadvantage. Chazu zeh b'zeh. The Gemara starts by analyzing the phrase, and they deceived one another. The Gemara comments, Tanya does not teach they reneged on the agreement with one another, which would indicate that either the employer or the labourer changed their mind. Rather, it states that they deceived one another. What does that mean? Lo chazu ela hitu. Apparently, the Gemara is attempting to find a deception that involves both the employer and his labourers. The early commentaries explain the mission differently. The employer informed the labourers that most other labourers are paid less, and they discovered that this was not the case. The reverse situation would involve the labourers telling the employer whether the going rate was higher. As for why the Gemara does not adopt this straightforward interpretation, the later commentaries attempt to prove that the wording of the mission does not conform with the explanation of the Rashba and the Ritva. It means that the labourers deceived one another. The Gemara therefore inquired, what are the circumstances? The Gemara explains this is referring to a case where, for example, the employer said to one of the labourers, go and hire labourers for me, and the labourer went and deceived those labourers. The Gemara again asks, what are the circumstances of this deception? If the employer said to him, hire for me work labourers at 4 dinars, and he went and told them they hired for 3 dinars, what is the relevance of this grievance? After all, they knew and accepted the conditions of the hire. What grounds for complaint did they have? If the employer said to him, hire labourers for 3 dinars, and the minimum went and told him it was for 4, what are the circumstances? So let's explain that. With regard to one who instructed a middleman to hire labourers for 3 dinars and hired them for 4, his man told them they accept responsibility for their pay, he must give them 4, 3 of which are paid by the employer, while the 4th is paid from his own pocket. Sometimes he maintained that if the labourers are hired for 4, the employer must pay the middleman the sum of the benefit he himself received by paying them the lower price. The middleman simply told the labourers that the wages would be paid by the employer must pay them in accordance with local custom. If some labourers in that place are paid 3 dinars, or they receive 4, the employer must pay them 4 dinars if their performance justifies a high salary. The quality of the work cannot be determined. He must give them 3, and they have agreements only against the middleman. In Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat 332:1. What are the circumstances? If he told them at the time the monetary value of the services are your wages incumbent upon me, then the middleman give them the difference from his own pocket. Most authorities maintain that if a middleman specified a larger sum than the one mentioned by the employer, he must make good the difference from his own pocket. This is the halacha despite the fact that if an uninvolved third party instructs labour to perform a task in the field of another, the owner must pay for the benefit he received, even if this is more than the stipulated rate. The reason for the difference between this case and the case of a middleman is that the middleman was given explicit instructions, and therefore he bears the responsibility for any change from the Meiri. This is as is taught in the Bible. With regard to one who hires labour to perform work in his own field, and the employer inadvertently showed the labourer a field belonging to another in which he should work, the employer must give the labourer his full wages, and in addition, the employer goes back and takes from the owner of the field in which he worked the value of the benefit that owner received from the labor. The employer is entitled to claim from the owner of the field the profit the owner gained from the work, but not the entire wages of the labor. This indicates that one who says, "Your wage incumbent upon me," must pay the specified sum. The Gemara explains, no, it is necessary to say this halacha where the middleman said to them, the obligation to pay your wages is incumbent upon the employer, and it subsequently became apparent the employer was not willing to pay that much. In this case, the laborers have agreement only against the laborer who hires them. The Gemara challenges, but let us see how much laborers are hired for in that place. The commentary is asked, since the employer is willing to pay only 3, what difference does it make that the established rate is 4? And one answer is that the minimum is mentioned 4, and this is the established rate for that work. The employer may not give them less than this sum. From Beit Aaron. In that place, and the employer should pay them according to the accepted custom. The Gemara answers, no, it's necessary in a place where there are those who are hired for 4 dinars and there are those who are hired for 3. With regard to one instructed the minimum to hire laborers for 3 dinars, and he hired them for 4. The man told them that he was accepting responsibility for their payments, give them 4. He was to pay the employer, and while the 4th is paid from his own pocket. Some authorities maintain that if all laborers are hired for 4, the employer must pay the minimum the sum of the benefit he himself received by paying them the lower price. If the minimum simply told laborers that the wages would be paid by the employer must pay them according to local custom. If some laborers in that place are paid 3 dinars, or receive 4, the employer must pay them 4 dinars if their performance justified the highest salary. If the quality of the work cannot be determined, he may give them 3, and they have agreements only against the middleman. And that's from the Shulchan Aruch Mishpat 3:32-1. I think I would just repeat that. And for 3, so I missed the footnote here. Some commentators maintain that this should be treated like other situations where there's no fixed price. The law is unclear. They should divide it between them in this case, which in this case means the employer pays the laborers 3.5 dinars. That's the Nechem Mishnah. The reason for their grievance is that the laborers can say to the middleman, had you not told us that you're hiring us for 4 workers, we would have made an effort and found another employer, and we would have hired ourselves for 4 dinars, consequently cause us a loss. If you wish, say that the mission is referring to a place where there is a fixed wage for laborers. But here we are dealing with a homeowner, i.e. one who usually not accustomed to labor, one who is hired for his services. In order to supplement their earnings, such people would occasionally work for others as well. The reason for the agreement is that these laborers who own fields say to the middleman, had you not told us that we are hired for 4, it would have been too demeaning for us to be hired, as it is not worthwhile to work in the field of another for so little when we have our own plots of land. This is the cause of their grievance. If you wish, say that actually we are dealing with regular laborers, not a homeowner, and the reason for the grievance is that they say to the middleman, since you spoke to us of 4, we made an effort to do higher quality work for you. Make more challenges, let us see their work. If it's evident that they perform the task more effectively, they deserve to be paid more money. The Gemara responds, this is referring to tilling the land, where the quality of work is not apparently immediate. The Gemara asks, with regard to tilling as well, doesn't the employer know what they have done? And here we are to examine the earth they tilled. The Gemara answers, the laborers dug a ditch that is now filled with water, and therefore the employer does not know exactly what they have accomplished. If you wish, say that actually we are dealing with an employer who said to the middleman, he hired laborers for 4, and he went and told them that they were hired for 3. If the employer instructed the middleman to hire laborers for 4 dinars, and he hired them for 3, even if their work was worth 4, they are entitled to just 3, and they have a grievance only against the middleman. As for that which he said, why should you have a grievance against him? As they knew and accepted these terms, although they agreed to those terms, they still have a grievance, as they can say to the one who came to terms with them, don't you have respect for the verse, do not withhold good from him to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do it, in Proverbs 3:27. Commentators ask, the action of the middleman were not entirely deleterious, as what he did result in a benefit for the employer. So how does this verse apply? They explain that as the employer is willing to pay the high price, the middleman has not done him a favor by finding the laborers he requested. Meanwhile, he has inflicted harm on the laborers themselves, and that's from the Gion 3. After analyzing the circumstances of the case in the Mishnah, the Gemara observes, it is obvious that if the employer said to someone that he should hire laborers for 3 dinars, and that person went and said to them they were hired for 4, and they said to him, we agree to be paid as the employer says. If the employer told the middleman to hire laborers for 3 dinars, and the middleman mentioned 4, to which they replied that they accept the terms as stated by the employer, then they certainly had no intention of accepting less than the price specified by the middleman. Many hoped to receive more. Consequently, if the work was fully taken for the employer, if the work less or if the value is unknown, they receive only 3. The middleman told them that the wages were coming upon him, or if the laborers in that place are hired at less than 4, he must pay them 4 in either case. That's what Shulchan Aruch 13:33 and the comment of the Ramah. In that case, it is clear that their minds are on any additional sum the employer might have offered, and they certainly did not intend to accept less than the one with whom they spoke proposed. But if the employer said he would hire for them for 4 dinars, and the middleman went and told them the offer was for 3, and they said to him, we agree to be paid as the employer said. If the middleman was instructed by the employer to hire laborers for 4, and he offered them 3, and they replied, as the owner said, they entitled only to 3. The reason is that the case is left unresolved by the Gemara, and therefore the party in possession of the money is at an advantage. Consequently, some authorities maintain that if the laborers took 4 of their own accord, the court does not remove it from them. Was Allah? Is it correct to say the laborers rely on this statement, as they are effectively saying to him, we trust you that the employer said that which you reported in his name, or perhaps they rely on the employer's statement, and therefore they are entitled to receive the higher wages specified by the employer. The Gemara suggests, common here resolution of the Salem from a halach concerning a bill of divorce. A woman said to her agent, bring a bill of divorce to me, for me. Okay, the woman appointed an agent to bring a bill of divorce to her, and the agent told the woman's husband that she had appointed him an agent to receive the bill of divorce, to which her husband replied, take it as she said, then even if the document reached the woman, she is not divorced. If the husband gave the agent the bill of divorce without saying anything, she divorced in the moment he received it. 48. Knowing her husband was writing a bill of divorce, she asked the agent to collect the document and submit to her according to the terms of his agency. Writing divorce only when the document reaches the possession, as she was not appointed as the agent to receive the bill of divorce on her behalf. So the agent went and told the husband, your wife said to me, receive my bill of divorce from me. The statement indicates that the wife has appointed him to receive the divorce in her stead as an agent of receipt, which would mean that she is divorced as soon as the agent is given the document. An agent for a bill of divorce is generally appointed for delivery, i.e., he simply transfers the document from the husband to the wife. If so, the bill of divorce takes place only from the moment when the woman receives it. Just as in any regular bill of divorce must be in the woman's possession before its terms apply. The wife herself can appoint an agent for receipt document instead, since in that case he is considered by Allah as a representative. As soon as he receives the bill of divorce, it is as though the document has reached her when she is immediately divorced. And the husband said, take it in the manner in which my wife said. With regard to this case, Rav Nachman said that Rabba Bar Ahuva said that Rav says, even when the bill of divorce reaches her possession, she is not divorced. What does that mean? Although the term get is sometimes applied to other legal documents, it is most commonly used to refer specifically to a bill of divorce. The basic text of a bill of divorce includes a declaration of the husband that he, as identified by his name and his father's name, divorces his wife. His name and father's name is also mentioned, and that she is permitted to marry any other man. The document must contain the date it was written and the signatures of 2 witnesses. The amount of times the bill of divorce could be written privately by a scribe at the request of the husband. In later generations, it was customary for the bill of divorce to be written in a rabbinical court as their expertise in this field. so that no difficulties arise that might lead to invalidation of the document. One can learn from this that the husband relies on the agent's statement. Since the husband was under the mistaken impression that he was interacting with an agent of receipt, he did not instruct him to deliver the document to his wife, and therefore the bill of divorce was not transmitted in the proper manner, which is why she is not divorced at all. And if it enters your mind that the husband relies on her statement, she should at least be divorced when the bill of divorce reaches the possession according to the terms of an agent for delivery. This shows that the statement of the agent is accepted as a faithful representation of the wishes of the one who appointed him. Rav Ashi said, that's where it's left off this onward. I wish you a very good day and peace in Israel. Masoras Tovos.